Welcome everyone. Good morning in the Americas, good afternoon in Europe, good evening to everyone in Asia. We have a lot of friends from each continent in our audience. We welcome you all to this. This is our second FCI and AFC English language seminar that we set up in order to study the relationship between franchising between our three continents and the future. What is coming for us after this pandemic, and what are the perspectives for our franchising business all around the world. My name is Abel Calvo. I am your host. I'm the Executive Director for Front Consulting International, FCI. We are the foremost network of franchise consultants in Latin America. And this is a joint webinar with AFC, Asia-wide franchise consultants, which is a similar network to ours in Asia with operations in 35 countries. We are joined by several of our FCI members as well as several of our AFC members who are going to be our speakers today. So our gratitude to all of them for the time that they have given us to share with all of you, the audience, the information. Let me introduce our speakers for today. We are joined by Paulo Mauro from Global Franchise, our FCI member in Brazil, also with operations in the US and Portugal. So he has ample experience in franchising all around the world. Also here with us is Jesus Porras from Spain, from SDAIF. SDAIF is our member in Spain, one of the co-founders of FCI, and our representative in Spain, also with joint operations in Portugal, together with Paulo. From Asia, we welcome Cesny Lin, the representative of AFC for Malaysia, whom we are very grateful for her presence here today with us. Also from Asia, the representative of Asia-wide franchise consultant for Indonesia, our good friend Siangi Widjaja. Welcome, Siangi. Thank you for being with us and for assisting me in these first steps with the technical stuff. Thank you very much, Siangi. Also, coming back to America, our representative in the US, Fabio Scocimara, also from Global Franchise. And like I said, he is one of our representatives in the United States of America. And from the UK, he will be joining us via a video because he's traveling right now, Marcel Portman. He is our FCI member in the United Kingdom. So this is our network. We, as well as Asia-wide franchise consultants, strategic allies, we are members of IFA, and our objective is to do these kind of activities to promote the growth of franchises all around the world through our assistance and our help. Before we begin, I would like to invite you all to visit our YouTube channel, where you can find us as Front Consulting International, and there you will be able to see the recordings of all these webinars we do. Most of them are in Spanish. There is one in English that was the first one we did with Asia-wide, and there is also one in Portuguese. We are going to be incorporating more and more material in English and Portuguese. So you are all welcome to come visit our YouTube channel and also to follow us in our Instagram account. So let me stop sharing the screen so that we can focus on our guests. And we are going to start right away with the first question. The first question goes to our friend Paulo Mauro, who I remind you is from Brazil, our representative in Brazil through his company Global Franchise. Paulo, the question for you, and welcome once again, thank you for being here. The question for you is this. Given that you have ample experience operating in Latin America, the United States, and Europe, what is your general assessment of the current state of franchising worldwide, and where are we going? Paulo, go ahead.
Okay, Abel. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's very nice to see how FCI has been growing in the last years. Alfonso's idea, I think he never imagined to grow so much. And we have now friends all over the world, all trying to improve the franchise system to make it better. I like your question because I have been working with franchising for more than 30 years. I started the franchise system here in Brazil, and later I opened office in the United States and also in Europe. And I saw the franchise grow here like crazy in the last 30 years. In the beginning, for when we started, there is no internet, and the franchise was one franchise. What we have been seeing now that it's a big change in the world, mainly after 2010. In the last 10 years, the world is changing completely. And now in 2020, we have also the pandemic that increased the speed of the changes. Now we are seeing what we have been seeing for the last 10 years, a great digital revolution that is affecting everything in the world, and of course is affecting the franchise system. We have now a new consumer, new ways to consume, the smartphone revolution. All these affects the franchising, and the franchisor must to reinvent its business, must to change its business from anything to sell technology. This is very important. Every business is going to be a technology business. Doesn't matter what you're going to sell, if it's food, if it's services. If you don't become a technology company, you're gonna die. And this is gonna happen with all the companies, of course, the biggest in the beginning, but also with the smallest company also. Then we must attempt on that. The consumer defines how he or she will consume, and not the company anymore. The franchisor must to use every technology tool that is possible to make the consumer comfortable, and must to integrate the franchisee in the process, but not keep him as the center of the business like used to be. Now the center of the business is the consumer. If the center of the business is the franchisee, you're gonna have problem also with the competition. This is, I think, is the biggest change in the world that is gonna affect our franchise system also. We can say also that we are seeing a new franchising now, different from the franchise we used to see 20, 30 years ago. The franchisors now, they must grow in the beginning with their own money, and or the money from investors. 20, 30 years ago, the franchisor grows with the franchisee's money. It's not possible anymore. You must invest yourself in your company to make it feasible to grow in the beginning, and then after that you can start franchising. It's the only way that you're going to succeed, unless you have a spectacular idea that nobody had. But this is more and more difficult because everybody is trying to do more of the same, a little different, more of the same. Concentrates the growth in multiple unit franchises or area developer. In the past, we use a lot unit franchise or master franchise. We believe that both systems is gonna decrease little by little. It's very important to use multiple units because it's more professional. An area developer to help you to use unit franchise, but with an area developer to help to grow and to manage it. Micro franchise and we can say nano franchise is a new category that it's appearing, have been growing, and I think it's going to grow more and more after the pandemic, because it's a way for the people to buy an unemployment is to buy a micro or nano franchise. The franchisor must look for that, use, take advantage of this opportunity using area developers to manage the growth of a micro and nano franchise. The franchisees, I believe the new franchises, on the new franchise, the franchisees must participate more on the franchisor's growth success. This is very important because a lot of franchisors, they became millionaires, billionaires, and not the franchisees. Now we must to bring the franchisees also to participate in our success. The new, finally, I would say that the new goods concept will arise all over the world, not only on the developing countries. That means that Asia, Latin America has a great opportunity to export their concepts worldwide. In the past, used to be franchises from the United States all over the world. Now we have franchises from all over the world trying to enter in the United States. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paulo. Amazing brief of the situation and our perspective. So I am very grateful to you. Thank you very much. For our next question, we move to Asia. We're going to Cesny Lin, the Asia-wide franchise consultant representative for Malaysia. And Cesny, welcome once again. And the question for you is as follows. In Asia, you are a little ahead of us in terms of the reopening process and coming back from the COVID-19 quarantine. What has been the experience like for franchises and small businesses in the region in this process? Go ahead, Cesny. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Frank Consulting, for organizing this webinar. Thank you so much for having me today to share. Hi, everyone. I'm Cesny from Asia-wide Malaysia. So, and yes, Malaysia, like many other countries, we are affected by COVID-19. And as of today, there are about 8,000 reported cases in Malaysia. However, it is with 97% recovery rate. So in fact, COVID-19 has impacted us in so many ways, and it has been a new experience to most of us in Malaysia, including myself. So because this is the first time every one of us facing this pandemic. So in order to fight the COVID-19, our Malaysia government has taken several actions to control the situation from going very bad. So in overview, I would just like to share with you all that what are the experiences that we face in Malaysia. Mainly, there are two phases. The first would be in how our government handling the public health issue. And the second phase would be reviving the economy. So what has been the people in Malaysia and the businesses experienced in the past 4 months? Firstly, our government actually announced the preventive movement called Movement Control Order, which is in short MCO. So this MCO actually lasts for about 1.5 months from the 18th of March to 3rd of May, about 1.5 months. So under this MCO, most of the businesses are not allowed to operate. Only, schools and malls are closed. Only essential services are allowed to operate, such as hospital, clinics, supermarket, and restaurants. But however, these essential services are operating following a very, very strict SOP. So in example, I take restaurant as an example. During MCO, restaurants are not allowed to serve food in the restaurant, no dine-in at all. So what they can do is only to serve by offering takeaway and delivery. And all restaurants have to close at 10 p.m., so not later than 10 p.m. Then what happened during this period of time is many businesses start to bring their business online. So I totally agree with Paulo just now that things have to be bring digital and to transform to digitalize. So they start to sell things online, they start to sell their products in the online platform. So they start to do live streaming in Facebook and in social media. So the spending power of the people and the customer has changed. So this is the time where many businesses activities are brought digital. So these are the very, very major change in Malaysia that we see then and we are experiencing now. And from MCO, we slowly move to the second stage, which is the preventive movement, which is called the movement control order, CMCO. Also lasts for about 1.5 months. So this stage is very similar with the MCO, but with a more loosened kind of SOP to follow. And for now, we are in this recovery movement control order, meaning more businesses are operating. So from the 10th of June until 31st of August, we are under this RMCO, so in a recovery mode. So for the time being, for now, most businesses are allowed to resume to their operation as usual, but also with a strict SOP to follow. So what they do and what businesses do is we have to wear masks in public. We have to practice the social distancing, this practice. And school has started to reopen like last week, schools and shopping malls, and most of the people are getting back to work. So from MCO until this RMCO, until as of this month, we see the recovery of the employment rate is higher compared to 2 months ago. And also the sales of businesses are also coming back slowly. So in terms of what the government has done for the recovery of the businesses in Malaysia and also for the franchise is that our government actually allocated 35 billion ringgit Malaysia to support businesses. So what they do is they have this wages subsidy program. They have this income tax review, and then also we have grant for the small medium enterprise and also a grant for digital transformation. And we foresee that this digital transformation is really, really playing a role in Malaysia, and especially businesses that are quite traditional like last time, like most of the franchise, they might not have this own delivery app, but now they might have need to develop their own app and also to make their website look really nice and also to make their online digital transformation faster than before. So these are the trends that are becoming in, not too sure whether it's in Indonesia as well, but at least in Malaysia, we are seeing this transformation. So the effort taken is really to encourage business activity and to lessen the burden of businesses in Malaysia. Then the economy has now restarted in an orderly and controlled manner. We practice social distancing. So like what we say, we also wear masks. So as for the franchise business in Malaysia, you know, because our government also very support and promote franchise consistently, and this is really supported by our government. So because, you know, in 2018, the franchise industry actually contributed to 30 billion of the GDP of our country. So to keep this really moving forward for the franchise, the Malaysia Franchise Association actually going to organize the very, very first ever virtual franchise exhibition and conference in this coming October. So this is to encourage the franchise business in Malaysia to grow and also to encourage brands from other countries to join us. So we welcome more brands from overseas, more brands from the franchise brands from overseas to join us in this event. Okay, that's about the situation in Malaysia. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesny. This is a very good summary that can illuminate us for what may follow for us in Europe and especially in Latin America. So thank you very much. Our next question is for our partner in the UK, in the United Kingdom, Marcel Portman, who I remind you couldn't be live with us because he's traveling by train right now, but he sent a pre-recorded answer to the question. The question for Marcel is, what is the current status of franchise and trade shows around the world, And what do you think is a forecast for this kind of events in the coming months? So let me share the screen.
Pleasure to be here. Appreciate the invitation. Greetings to everybody online and to my colleagues on the call. The franchise trade shows and all trade shows have had obviously a challenging time. Most of the venues, the exhibition halls, the hotels are not able to host large gatherings, so that has made most of the expos having to postpone for the rest of the year, or in some cases to postpone until later this year. Events such as London has been postponed until April of next year. Events such as Paris and Valencia are scheduled for later this year, probably the fourth quarter. And the same situation is in Asia, in North America, and Latin America. So the reality is that these events rely on face-to-face meetings, and the exhibition spaces are going to be available in a few months. So we are hoping that everything will come back to a certain degree of normality. The companies that organize these trade shows obviously have had opportunities to create new ways of interacting. They have online shows. The New York show, IFE, had a virtual IFE. So did the London show, the IFS show in London, which combines technology with the fact that you can have live sessions with interested parties that walk a virtual hallway if you want. That is not a full replacement, of course. I think the future of trade shows will have to combine the technology. We'll have to be able to bring in people face to face, but also have some sort of reliance on technology that will not involve people maybe traveling. I think trade shows around the world will have to realize that having international visitors for many of their events is going to be in some degree affected by what's going on, mostly by people not wanting to travel maybe for the foreseeable future. So that's going to affect the attendance, the reliability of these expos saying that they are an international event. So that's going to be something that the exhibitors have to consider as well, not just in the franchise industry. I think in all industries. We're involved in several other industries such as the food, the licensing, and the trade shows on these industries have had to adapt and have had similar complications, if you want to call it, of what the business model is. So the future of the events will be a combination of technology, combination of being able to do virtual matchmaking, and also in terms of space. The trade shows will have to understand what the requirements are in terms of how many booths can be put in an exhibit hall. Having booths of 2 square meters or 2 meters wide or 3 meters wide, one next to the other, might not be possible. So exhibit halls might have more distance booths from each other, wider hallways so people can walk more freely. And that obviously takes out the space that can be rented out at the trade show. So there is a cost implication. The business model will have to change regardless. But I do think it'll come back. We will see a rebound of these and other industries once everything is settling in and we have the situation more in control. Like most businesses, it will come back. There will be some changes that will be applied gradually, but I am confident that the trade show business will be back, and I'm looking forward to being able to attend some of these trade shows and meet up with colleagues and meet up with interested business partners for many of our clients. So we're optimistic that that's going to happen. Thank you.
Well, we thank Marcel remotely for his very important insight in one of the most important aspects of our business, which are the franchise and trade shows. For our next question, we're moving to Spain. Before we go with the question, I would like to test Jesus' sound. Jesus, can you try to speak to see if I can hear you, please? Okay. I'm not hearing you. Okay, give me a second.
I think it's better to postpone Jesus for
Okay.
later.
Jesus, here it appears your telephone is muted. Can you see if you can unmute it?
Everybody must be technology.
Yeah. Okay, Jesus. Let's keep trying to solve your problem. And like we Paulo suggested, let's jump to the next question while we try to speak out of the air to see what we can do. So let's go then to Indonesia with our friend Siangi Widjaja. Siangi, the question for you is the next. With Indonesia as a guide, insofar as it has the fourth largest population in the world, what does the business and franchising landscape look like in your country as well as in Asia in general? Go ahead, Siangi.
Hi, thank you, Abel. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, perfectly.
Yes.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, especially in my country, and of course, Sesni in Asia region. So, as introduced by Abel, that I am from Indonesia. So right now, Indonesia is the fourth biggest population in the world. First is USA, second is China. First is China. First is China, second India, third is US, and Indonesia is in the fourth biggest population. So being the fourth biggest population, there are advantages and also disadvantages. The advantage is we have very strong local consumption. We have big domestic power purchasing, but the disadvantages is very hard to control this pandemic because we have so many people. So it means very hard to control all the social distancing, physical distancing. So unfortunately, the COVID-19 now keep growing. Even we can say in Indonesia, we haven't reached the peak yet. So our government also is struggling, and all the citizens, including all the entrepreneur, also we got a huge impact because we cannot do the business as normally we did. And towards the business and franchise, yes, that's a very big challenge we have to face right now. But as probably in other countries as well, our government keep giving us a motivation that we have to live together with this pandemic, which means we need to find a new way doing business. Sometimes we need to call also a reborn concept. So either in a business or a franchise business, we need to find a new way doing business because we cannot do the old way for us to do the business. That's my first introduction. Let me share my screen. Just want to share some data. I think probably some of you also got this data. This is the GDP growth. So when we are talking about the GDP, of course, we can measure the business outlook. So this is all the advanced countries, which is looking not very good. So all the advanced countries also, they are fighting themselves. Next one is the emerging market. This is the emerging countries. So I think later on our friend Paulo also can elaborate more because from this graph we can see the Latin America also having a big challenge in terms of the economic growth. So the world is about -6% on the GDP growth. Indonesia, yeah, we can call ourselves lucky because we are only -3. And then China and Korean. And then we go to ASEAN. So this is the ASEAN prediction. In this data, I think Vietnam is a very good situation. So if we are a franchisor, I think that's the destination we should expand our brands right now, because Vietnam still can enjoy the positive GDP growth. Indonesia is from 0 to -1. Philippines a bit deeper. Malaysia about the same. Singapore and Thailand, yeah, they are facing a deeper challenge. So meaning the business investment will be very tight on those countries that the GDP has very deep negative growth. So yeah, this is the country look like. On the franchise situation, yeah, I envy always. I went to Malaysia several times for the show and for the franchise event. Of course, different government has different policy about subsidizing the franchise industry. Malaysia is one of the countries that I know the government giving a lot of subsidy to the franchise industry, but not for Indonesia. Unfortunately, we have to fight ourselves because the government is busy taking care of those big numbers of citizens. So we are on our own. We need to find a way to reconcept our business to sustain in this industry. Okay, the next one, probably I want to share several tips how to be successful in franchise business, especially in particularly in Indonesian market. Number one, we of course have to be very careful on the franchise business which have a high risk impacted COVID-19, such as game, travel, tourism. Yeah, those very hard to be operated. The business is very hard. And then number two, we can review some franchise business which have innovative new concept. So they combine the conventional service and technology application, the unmanned restaurant and yeah, other innovative concept that's very interesting for us to pursue. Number three, in every crisis, there is always some people, some business enjoy the successfulness of the situation. So in franchise also the same. So we need to look at the logistic business franchise, computer and technology related business franchise, house cleaning, meaning the germ disinfectant also now they are quite enjoying the situation. The online things, yeah, of course, that's also a good growing business of the franchise. So a summary of all of these tips, actually, because of the pandemic, our work become more flat. So I agree and with Paulo opinion. So now it's time for all part of the world franchisor go to US or go to everywhere, because now the world is become more flat because of the situation. So our digital tools business of the franchise, we can go anywhere we can go. So I think that's all I can share. Thank you. Thank you, Abel.
Abel, let me just tell a new projection of the Brazilian GDP decrease is 5.5%. It's much better. And I believe that is going to be lower than that, This is
Great,
the new
great.
project, so we have good
Great,
news.
great. Yeah, great to hear that. Great to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Paulo, and thank you, Siangi, for that extraordinary summary of the situation, especially those last recommendations. Very, very useful information. So before we continue, Jesus, please test your sound. No, no. Like I told you off the air, you had to stay on your phone because we could hear you then. So please try to go back to the sound on your phone, and we will continue with Fabio Scocimara in the United States. Fabio, the question for you. What is your take on the ability and the hunger of Latin American franchises to expand to Europe and Asia after the COVID-19 pandemic? Go ahead, Fabio.
Thank you very much, Abel, and thank you very much for hosting this. This event, I think, it's very important, and I think the very first thing that I'd like to say, maybe even 6 months ago, we would never imagine having a meeting with people from, Malaysia, Indonesia, Spain, UK, Brazil, everybody in the same room talking about a common problem and common solutions. And I think this is a big reflection of what we can all do as human beings and entrepreneurs. The other thing is, by definition, franchising is a system that allows for expansion. So, people create franchises just to be able to replicate the system, to share with others, and be able to promote growth. So, is there hunger? Of course, there is, there is a huge demand for new businesses, new ideas, new ventures that people can engage. And Latin America is no exception. And one of the things I'd like to mention is that Latin America is really not, has had its fair share of crisis. You from Venezuela probably should be the first one to know the crisis that you faced, and yet you and Alfonso thrive, and you've been doing very well. And it's the capability of adapting. And I think I can remember in Brazil where every single currency has been confiscated from every citizen. So all of a sudden you had I think it was $2,000 in your bank account, although to run your business, pay your payroll and whatnot. That happened some years ago. In Mexico, I remember we were about to sell a master franchise, and the initial investment that went from 500,000 because of the devaluation of the currency went to $5 million, making the business not viable for the investors. So all of these crises have helped the franchisor from these countries to have a great capability of adapting. And franchising, albeit being a replicable system, being able to adapt. I mean, the reality in Indonesia or in Malaysia or in America, for that matter, are very different. And the Latin American franchisors are uniquely positioned to address these kinds of challenges. And one of the things that we have been seeing here at Global Franchise in the US, and my dear friend Paulo has been really involved with that, there's a large number of companies contacting us from, it's been Chile, Mexico, Brazil, and a lot of countries trying to enter the United States or wanting to enter the United States. So, I don't think that there is bigger proof for the hunger that you state, Abel, because there is, really that adaptability capability is really impressive, and that entrepreneurship that is really typical of Latin America is really extending to the rest of the world. And I think there are great opportunities out there. There's also another point. I think that years ago, there is, also very successful cases of Latin American companies. And there's one that comes in mind to me is a company out of Mexico called El Fogoncito that started their activities in China and have been highly successful at it. So I believe Latin American companies are, capable of presenting really good concepts and really valuable input in every single market there is, and we see this every single day. I mean, I think as a typical example, when I first came to Florida, I live in Florida. You used to speak English all the time. Now you go to Miami, you can hardly speak English. It's mostly Spanish or Portuguese or different languages. So the growth of Latin America, the influx of Latin America and the influence of Latin America all over the country all over the world is really impressive. Lastly, I think it's very important to highlight that whoever, for the expansion, you need to look at being prepared. Look at your ability to do your homework first, whichever country you want to go in. And I usually highlight this very much, and a lot of my colleagues here have had a lot of experience, helping companies come into to each one of the markets. And I'd like to, you have a panel of experts here that, have very good insight in each respective country. So I really recommend that if anything else, start contacting these people because they have, incredible knowledge to share, and perhaps could be your ticket for success in starting an activity in the respective target country that you have. I don't know, Abel, if I have any more time, but this is kind of a very broad question that I was trying to address as quickly as possible. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Fabio. Thank you very much. Like all of our speakers before you, you have made a wonderful job of summarizing a broad subject into very few key points. So we are very grateful to you. While you were talking, we were behind the curtain working with Jesus, and Jesus recorded his answer via WhatsApp. So I will share the audio with you. The question for Jesus is the next. I remind you, Jesus Porras is our partner in Spain through State Consultants. The question for Jesus is, Spain is one of the most important exporters of franchises to Latin America. So using Spain as a guide, what lies ahead for Spanish and European franchises in terms of international expansion? So let me share the screen and the audio to go with Jesus's answer.
Well, it was a problem with my laptop. For some reason, I couldn't connect with the microphone. I have to say I'm sorry, because I will share some information about the questions that was provided from Abel and FCI. But as a summarize, I would like to thank you before the whole panel and the audience for the patience. And I have to say that as a consultant located in Spain, and I will not share some kind of prediction of the future, but as a practitioner and also as a director in several companies between USA and Spain, I have to say that I can provide some insights that I believe I will illustrate how the market is working right now. So first, some numbers that I would like to share with you. How many brands are in Spain? More than 1,000, 3,000 brands. How is the presence that the Spain brands in Latin America? Well, every country in Latin America has a Spanish brand. Number three, more than 30% of the Spanish franchisors has decided to go international. So we can say that it's a very strongest position from the Spanish franchisors who believes that international business is a target. For the main markets that are located, the Spanish franchisors are Mexico, Colombia, Panama, and in those countries has several franchise systems working on there. Now, I would like to share some additional information about the European Union role about the COVID-19 pandemic. The last July 21, the European Union leaders agreed in the budget of more than 1.8 trillion euros for 2021 until 2027. So they are going to support investments in green and digital transitions. With this point of view, we can conclude in some ideas. And I have to say that with this kind of relationship, a strong relationship between Spain and Latin America, of course, we know and believe that we will continue working internationalization. Also, in fact, we handle some requirements from franchisors based in Spain that they are looking for new partners around Latin America and Asia. Well, I'll try to do my best to connect live, but I hope that these ideas will be working for you guys. Have a good day for everyone. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Jesus. Thank you very much. In this situation in which we all have had to jump into the pool of digital transformation, we have all become TV directors, technicians, computer experts. So we try to work as hard as possible to solve these kind of situations that present themselves in technology. So Jesus, once again, thank you very much. And let's go to the final question, which is a short question for each member of our panel. We are going to start with Paulo. Paulo, the general question for all of you is as follows. What are your recommendations for international franchises that want to come to your region, specifically yours, as well as for your own local franchises that may want to expand to other parts of the world? Go ahead, Paulo.
Okay, it's a very good question, very important on this moment. I think, like I was saying in the beginning, everything is changing in the world, in the franchise system also. And what I can say that if you would like to enter in another country, it's not so easy like it used to be in the past. We are advising the companies not thinking only about franchising, how expand internationally. Nowadays, it's much better to think about your product, about your concept. How are the best ways that you can test your product or your service in a new country before you try to enter with the franchise system? We are experiencing very good examples of Brazilian franchises expanding, that we are expanding firstly the product, exporting the product, trying to sell the product digitally on marketplaces like Amazon and others, or for the whole company can build some some internet stores. And then after that, after you test your product, your concept, then you can open your own company, not a franchising. In the beginning, it's very risky to sell franchises, mainly in this moment. Is a very delicate moment. We are advising the companies to invest their own money, and after selling the products, okay, start your company-owned pilot units. And after that, okay, you are ready to franchise. Of course, I'm saying about big countries like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, that are big countries. For smaller countries, it's more difficult to do that. Then I think you need to negotiate with the lead that you have a way that reduce the risk for both parties.
Thank you, Paulo. Thank you very much. Let's go to Cesny in Malaysia with the same question. Cesny, your recommendations for franchises that may want to come to Asia, as well as for Asian franchises that may want to go to the rest of the world, especially Europe and here in the Americas.
All right, Malaysia, Malaysia, we have about 32 million population, and we are with this multi-ethnic and multicultural people. Like we have the Malay, Chinese, Indians, and the indigenous people. So we speak multi-language. And because of this, we have the advantage of the higher acceptance level of different, culture and different cuisine and food. So in this case, if there are brands that can actually, go into the halal market, or because most of our population is Malay and they are halal, or even if they are not halal but they are pork free, I think they can do quite well in Malaysia, because the population wise and the market size is bigger in terms of the Malaysian. So I think products like duck donut is quite suitable to be in Malaysia, because we also have similar products like Dunkin' Donut also doing quite well in Malaysia. So products that a little bit sweet, and products that people in Malaysia they would prefer would be things like this. So in terms of brands that we want to recommend for us to go from Malaysia to US or to any other countries would be, I think I would recommend Mary Brown. Mary Brown in terms of, because they are the fast food chain and they are quite established in terms of their franchise system. They have over 100 of outlets in Malaysia, and they are in 20 over countries now. So they are quite established, and we are quite confident with their franchise system and the management team. So this is the first brand. And the second brand would be Tea Life. Tea Life is a Malaysia homegrown brand. They are also doing very well in Malaysia. It's a bubble tea kind of milk tea. If you are not aware of, we have a product called the bubble tea with this little chewy tapioca little ball in this milk tea. So it's very famous in Malaysia. People in Malaysia, they really like this product. So they are also doing very well in Malaysia, and they are now in many countries in Asia, such as Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and also I think Vietnam. So this would be something new that we can introduce to out of Malaysia. Okay, that would be the two brands that I recommend. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cesny. Thank you for your insights. Let's go to Marcel Portman from the UK once again with a recorded message. So please allow me to go to the recording and share the screen.
Yes, thank you once again. Relating to the question I answered on trade shows, I think that the outlook for the European markets is a good one. The European market is very vibrant in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of franchise generation of businesses. The governments are aware that franchising is a very good method of creating jobs and expanding businesses. So I do see some governments getting involved in helping some of these businesses get in expanded in small, medium enterprises, as they're called, SMEs or small businesses, will benefit from some of the potential benefits that might come from tax incentives and employment incentives. So I do think that companies that want to come to the market have to be more flexible, have to be aware of the new reality in terms of retail shops, in terms of how business is done, in terms of access to capital, in terms of access to the workforce. And in the particular case of the UK, where I'm located, Brexit is certainly a big consideration for next year, as the UK will be leaving the European Union, and it will be a new relationship with the European countries. The free flow of people as well as goods and services will have to be changed, because we will have a new way of doing business, and that's going to have some challenges, but also some opportunities for companies in the UK to look at other markets. And in our case, because we work with Latin America, we do feel that there's going to be a large opportunity for UK companies to look at the Latin American markets as a way of maybe expanding into areas that they hadn't considered before, because they didn't have the restrictions that they will have now as not being part of the European Union. So that's my personal take on the UK situation. I do think that businesses will rebound, franchising will stay healthy, licensing as well. And again, like I said in the previous question, I'm optimistic that business will rebound, and we should get back on track very soon. Thank you once again.
With our thanks to Marcel remotely again, we hope he's having a safe travel in Europe. We go now to Siangi in Indonesia. Siangi, what are your recommendations for international franchises and franchises from your region?
Yes. Hi again. Thanks again, Abel. So if talking about my country, Indonesia, our country is very unique by saying that we like most of the things. So we like of every product, and we are not as tight as China government. So we are quite an open market. So for all the international brands that wants to expand to Indonesia, I think there is no very hard challenges to come in. But as we always say, the basic recipe of the franchise business is to replicate the successfulness of the franchisor. So make sure that the franchise business in original country can still be very successful during this pandemic situation. So when the brands, when those franchisor can achieve that, of course, now you know me in your network, you can contact me, then of course we can collaborate together to make a successful business in my country. So for the other expansion, meaning the Indonesian brands going out to the international countries, I think also will apply the same formula. So if I have a successful client, successful business during this pandemic, I will contact all of the friend network here. Hopefully, we can also be successful to expand in your country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siangi. Thank you. With this, we close the formal questions for our webinar, and maybe we can have a few minutes for a couple of questions from the audience. So I ask all of you in the panel to please unmute your mics, but please to answer as briefly as possible. We have a question for a client here in Venezuela, a friend of ours, a very good friend, Miss Vicky Betancourt. She asks, uh, the speakers talk about the way to survive this pandemic situation is by using technology in franchising. She asked, have you ever considered incorporating robots in your process of manufacturing or using artificial intelligence to manage your customer attention, for example? Any of you has any answer to this question? Have you ever thought about incorporating either robots or artificial intelligence in the franchising process?
Yeah. I can talk a little about this. Have been seeing the use of robots a lot in the fast improve mainly the digital sales of any kind of product and make it easier for the customer and cost less for the franchisee. A lot of franchisors, they are using this kind of systems and the customer can use robots and have most of the answers, the choices has been done by robots and increase a lot the sales and reduce a lot the costs. Like I was saying, this is one of the things that has been doing improving the franchise business, mainly on the food on the food industry. I can say about that. Very interesting.
Thank you, Paulo. We have also been seeing examples of technology used in the process of purchasing, buying food through screens. You can access a menu. You can ask for the products or the food, the meals you want. You pay digitally, and you don't have any contact with people. Then you go pick the food you ask. So that is one of the ways that this thing is going. Fabio, I believe you had something to add. Sorry.
Thank you, Abel. I think one of the things that we have been seeing a lot in the United States is the use of drones. And for example, I just heard recently that there is a cleaning company that is using drones to clean up stadiums. And Amazon, everybody knows that in California, it's already in use to deliver merchandise to clients. So the no contact, all of these things are a trend, and the automation comes in as a very handy tool to achieve that. In addition to what Paulo was saying, these stores where you virtually walk in and with a card, you just go in and purchase, and you have zero contact. I think Walmart is already establishing a system that is similar to that, and I believe I've seen one in Brazil that is very, very sophisticated as well.
Thank you, Fabio. Thank you very much. Let's have one last question before we go. Although some of you already touched on this, I think this question is interesting enough to rephrase it, to make it again from Alfonso Riera, our partner in Venezuela. He asks, what kind of franchises, sectors, and business models are emerging and even expanding in your countries at this time? I don't know, Paulo, Siangi, Cesny, if you're there, what kind of concepts do you see expanding and thriving in this situation?
I think nothing is expanding too much in that time. Most of the franchisors, they are trying to avoid to reduce a lot the network, because we are seeing that at least in an average of 10 or 20% of the franchisees, they are not going to survive. Like Siangi told, of course, the franchises with a lower investment and based on technology, it's easier for them to grow, like the teaching by the distance teaching, and also the franchises that you can manage yourself, like some kind of services with a low investment, people that are looking for employment. But this is a kind of period that is going to be very difficult for the most of the franchisors to grow. But I believe that after the pandemic, every franchisor is gonna that survives, of course, they're gonna be stronger, more prepared to grow, and we are gonna see a great growth in the next year. But this year, I believe, is gonna be very difficult.
Thank you, Paulo. I don't know if Cesny or Siangi, you have anything to add to this question? Any particular kind of franchises, sectors, any particular kind of businesses that you have seen having success in this pandemic, in this quarantine?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, I agree most of the Paulo's points. So at this moment, the low investment business franchise and all the combination of the conventional business and the technology. So before we have the physical education franchise, now we have to shift into online education franchise. So now is that moment. Yeah.
Thank you, Siangi. Cesny, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe I can add on in Malaysia. So what I see in Malaysia is also agree with Paulo that very high investment is quite difficult maybe perhaps for this year. But for essential service, I see 7-Eleven is opening like in some of the areas in Malaysia. So I think 7-Eleven is one of the franchise that people would like to go into. And secondly, it's also about one of the beverage that we have in Malaysia, because I think Asian and especially Malaysian, we really like to hold a cup of drink and to walk around. So this is one of the F&B franchise is doing okay for now. So I would also want to see in October what is the transaction value in the exhibition. So that we will have a better picture of what is going on in the franchise industry for year 2020.
Bell, I remember one concept that appears during the pandemic that here in Brazil, one automated convenience store, everything automated. We have also in China this kind of concept, but I believe in also in Asia for buildings, for condos, for office buildings. You have a very small convenience stores, but everything is automated from the entrance to the payment to everything. This is growing here, but this is an exception, and I believe they're going to grow because of this difficult for the people to leave their homes or to leave their offices. And this is a kind of exception of business that take advantage of the situation here in Brazil.
Thank you, Paulo. Fabio, do you have any final words?
Well, there is, just to complement what was said earlier, there is a concept here in the United States. I actually was talking to them yesterday, and they recently started franchising, and they sold over 25 franchises in 1 month, which is a ridiculous amount. And it's based on cleaning, and it's all also in the perception. Unfortunately, we have to acknowledge the perception factor of all of this. And they have basically, it's a cleaning concept, and they just landed contracts with the NBC television network, with the NASCAR for cleaning, etc., just, you know, it's a cleaning concept, obviously. I believe as a conclusion, and as Siangi also was mentioning earlier, you know, educational concepts. Right now, there's a huge debate in the United States how schools are going to open. States are fighting with each other. Teachers are suing the state. How the education will take place, etc. So it's a big chaos, and I think there is also a great window of opportunity for educational concepts. And in conclusion, I believe that those who are watching this later or those who are participating right now, you're in front of, you know, a panel of great experts. Don't include me, and that you should use their know-how to be able to be prepared to enter a new market. I believe this is, you know, your chances of success are so much heightened just by being able to talk to this panel of experts. Well, thank you very much, Abel.
Thank you, Fabio. Thank you very much for those last words. And indeed, that brings me to the closing of the webinar, because you said it, you summarized it perfectly. The key word in this situation is still uncertainty. No matter if we like it or not, there's still a lot of uncertainty about our future, about our health, about the health of our businesses, and the franchising business in general. There are more questions than answers, and the work we are trying to do here in Front Consulting International, FCI, as well as Asia-wide franchise consultant in Asia, is to try and bring our collective minds to try to answer some of these questions by our shared knowledge, our shared expertise, and our shared observation of what is going on around us. So we're going to keep doing this kind of webinars in Spanish, in Portuguese, in English, trying to assist all of you, our friends, our clients, franchises in general. We can do some in Chinese or any Asian languages with the assistance of our colleagues in Asia-wide franchise. So we are at your service, all of you. Thank you very much, Cesny Lim from Malaysia, Siangi from Indonesia, Paulo, Mauro from Brazil, Fabio, Scocimara from the United States, Jesus Porras from Spain, and our friend Marcel Portman from the United Kingdom, who couldn't be here but was kind enough to record his answers. To all of you and the rest of our friends in the audience, thank you very much. We'll be seeing you soon. And remember to follow us on Instagram and follow us on our YouTube channel as Front Consulting International, where you are going to be able to see this recording later on. So thank you very much. Good morning, good night to you in Asia, good afternoon. And everybody, please turn on your cameras for our collective selfie. This is one of the characteristics of these times. So let's take everybody please smile. Thank you very much.